Hello everyone, welcome to Plan B Terraform. This is this came out in early access a week or two ago-ish at the time of this recording. I'm not sure exactly when I'm releasing this, but soonish, I think. So probably still just a week or two ago for you. It's I played a couple hours. I decided it was interesting enough to play some more, and that I might as well then give it a try on YouTube. It's, I think, kind of minimalist. I don't know about minimalist, but simplified factory builder / logistics kind of thing. So in the kind of family of Factorio. But it certainly seems simpler than that. There are, as I understand it, some interesting... So you're building, you're gathering iron and you're making it into steel bars, and you use those to make factories that help you make more or whatever, right? So fairly simple logistics planning for that kind of stuff. But I understand that as you get further in the game than I have, you start actually, the amount of pollution you're producing is good, right? It actually does something productive. It creates greenhouse gases on this very cold planet that helps it heat up to become more habitable, and you start having water and trees, which I ain't never seen no dang water and trees in the 2 hours I was playing. So I don't know how those are going to be relevant, but I gather that eventually they will be. Whether I even continue this series long enough to see them, I guess we'll see. What are we going to call this place? We'll just call it YouTube. There you go. Corporate planet ownership is in our future, probably. This way I'll remember that's the YouTube save file. It takes kind of a minute to load here. So, as far as I know, there are 4... Okay, here we go. You've been mandated to manage the resources of the newly discovered planet. You must bring supplies to cities and manage terraforming projects. Good luck. So, yeah, the lore of the story is they call it Plan B because they're assuming that Earth is going to be royally screwed in the near future and we had better move somewhere else. So that's our Plan B, is terraforming someplace. So there is, a help system over here. Okay, it's popping up, get out of here, tutorial. I don't need no dang tutorial. But there's still, a quest system, which funnels you through... I can't do all the stuff yet, right? We still have to do what the tutorial would tell us to do. We just don't have to read the thing and do it, button by button. And actually, maybe at some point, I might need this again. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Anyway, so... we're supposed to build 10 extractors and place them somewhere. And, this is our basic industry tooling. We have extractors. Let's actually look at... If you zoom out, and we switch to the mineral view, the planet we're working with has a few features. There are 3 cities, which currently are just tiny little space module, space probe things, but eventually they'll grow. So there's 3 cities that we would like to improve the habitability of, and there's 4 different raw resources. This red is iron, this is sulfur, I don't remember what the other 2 are. Oh right, this is aluminum, of course, and the other one is fluorite, purple or something. Where the heck is that? I don't know what fluorite looks like. That's aluminum. Maybe, am I not even allowed to look at fluorite yet? I don't know. It seems weird. Where is fluorite? I know there's 4 things, I thought. I don't know. Okay, well... Oh, is this some? No, it's just more aluminum. Weird. I think there are 4 things, but I can't find the 4th one right now. So anyway, there's 4 things. Extractors extract all of them. It's, fairly simple. So, for our little quest here, we're required to build 10 extractors. And you'll see right now we only own, what, 6 of them? So we're going to have to build some more to accomplish this quest. There's some stuff that it's useful to build near a city. Maybe all stuff, I don't know. But so far it seems to me that there's some things that you can kind of build anywhere, and I would like to put them away from a city so that the stuff that needs to be near a city can be there. So I'm going to start building over here. These resource deposits have, a total quantity, and I guess they run out. From reading the Steam reviews, it seems like maybe they might refill at some point. I'm not totally sure on that. A Factorio player would see would do exactly what I did at the beginning of the first game, which is try to build around the edges of this deposit so you don't like let's do this. In fact, there you go. So I built 5 of these extractors, and I carefully built on the edge so that, because what I'm gonna have to do next is I'm gonna put down a depot for iron, please. So a depot is where resources. We don't have conveyor belts here. A depot is a place to gather and store resources. It has a little drone that lives there, and it tries to go to adjacent cells that have resources and move them onto the depot, or move them off of the depot to an adjacent cell that wants them. So something we're certainly going to need is a factory. The only thing we know how to make is steel bars. Please make steel bars. And so now this drone says, so this place wants iron. I have iron. Let me move it over there. Now what are we going to do with our steel bars? We're going to make a depot for steel bars. And so there's going to be a drone that takes them out of the factory and puts them here. And next we're going to build an assembly plant. So this is the reason that I don't think this stuff needs to be anywhere near a city. Is that assembly plants, the resources they produce go directly into your global inventory. They're giving you buildings that you're allowed to put down, basically. So this plant requires 3 steel bars to make 1 extractor, and that extractor goes into your inventory, and you can just place it. If you ever delete stuff, you get it back in your inventory. You can see, of course, a Factorio player would say, oh, how about ratios and balancing? And that certainly is a thing in this game. We can look at these and say every year, which is 5 minutes. So a day is a second, and there are 300 days in a year, so a year is 5 minutes. So every year, this extracts 15 iron from the deposit. And as far as I can tell, the drones at the depot are fast enough to keep up with supply. Pretty much, there's some stuff in the future that makes me think there might be an issue with capacity for drones, but not in the early game yet. So this is not our limiting factor. And we're making a total of 75 iron per year out of these 5 extractors. This thing consumes 3 iron 30 times a year, so it can support an input of up to 90. We're only making 75. So if we had another extractor feeding into this, then it would be at capacity. But as it happens, we're only making, slightly less than 30 of these a year. And this thing could consume 30... Is this right? It can consume... Wait. Oh, right. We're consuming... Yeah, we're outputting slightly less than 30 steel bars from this. And this thing can consume up to 36. So it definitely will not be working full-time, but it's close enough, and the ratios don't really matter. And this is giving us more extractors. Of course, we can speed up time. But I haven't felt a need to yet, because there's always something to work on, especially if I'm explaining stuff to you guys. So our quest is still at 5. We've built enough extractors, but we haven't placed them. So let's start another little mining camp here. Oh, I mentioned a Factorio player would build on the edge so that they're not if you put resource gatherers in the middle of this whole block, then you're gonna have to cover these precious ores with the factories and assembly plants and stuff, right? I think in this game, you don't have to worry so much about that, because there's tons and tons of resource patches, as far as I can tell. And locality doesn't really matter very much for many things. So just building somewhere that you can place the maximum number of extractors, which at the moment is 5, sort of, seems like the way to go for me. So, if I built here, I could build 4 extractors, but why not just, build right here? There you go. There's my 5 extractors. And so we've accomplished our first quest, and we've unlocked the ability to do some more interesting things. We can now build mechanical parts, and we've got the ability to build more factories and assembly plants. Cool. So we could ask, what does it take to build those things? Well, a factory takes 3 mechanical parts, and an assembly plant also takes 3 mechanical parts. We can also build more depots. We'll eventually run out of those, see, if we use them like this. And a depot just costs steel bars the same as... it says the same cost as an extractor. So one thing I did in my first playthrough that I think, in retrospect, was a mistake, because it caused me some trouble. How do I... There you go. Was I said, oh, you know, extractors and depots use the same inputs, and I'm not super worried about throughput. Why don't I just put another factory over here, or assembly plant, that also consumes from this same depot, that makes depots? Seems reasonable. But I couldn't figure out the prioritization system, and it seemed like all of my steel bars were going to depots, and I wasn't getting any extractors when I did that. So I imagine there's some way in the future to figure out balancing, but for now, I don't know how to do it. And so I just had to build a separate assembly line for each thing I want to assemble. At the very beginning of the game, that's a little tricky, because I only have one more assembly plant. Am I going to use it to make assembly plants or factories? I guess assembly plants. So we need mechanical parts, right? So let's put down a factory. This factory is going to make mechanical parts. And then we put that in a depot that holds mechanical parts. And then we build an assembly plant that builds assembly plants so I can keep this up. When I first said, oh, I'll build an assembly plant that makes depots, suddenly I had no assembly plants. I couldn't make more assembly plants. So I had to tear one of them down and then build this anyway. This is all working? Yeah, the arrows tell me that it wants to do the right thing. This just isn't... Oh, this wants steel bars, right? Okay, I got this wrong. That's what we need, another factory. So that's why we have this many factories. So first, we need a factory that makes steel bars. And then we have to make the steel bars into mechanical parts. And only then can we assemble assembly plants. So this is why I'm a little bit... I feel like they gave you the wrong... Or I don't know. I guess the lesson they're trying to teach you is about, like, tearing things down and rebuilding them. But you don't start with enough materials to build both assembly plants and factories. This seems very much on purpose, but kind of a weird choice to me. So once I've made some assembly plants, I guess, I could put another assembly plant right here next to it that would make factories. I guess we're going to learn how... I mean, we're going to see whether I'm right about how that balancing problem I thought I had before. Kind of nice, by the way, that I chose this area and it happens to line up exactly with this thing being built here. Not mechanically important, but kind of aesthetically pleasing. So there you go. It started building our very first assembly plant. And we can speed up a little bit. Is it... What? Yeah, it's 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So if I put down an assembly plant here that makes factories, what I wish to know is this ever going to build anything? So it fed this one, so it's working. Are they ever going to feed this one again? Assuming this one never fills up. It looks like no, right? It looks like only the assembly plant for factories is ever going to run again in this setup. So that's fine. I can just duplicate this setup again to make assembly plants or to make factories or whatever. Or I could try to feed more inputs into it so that I'm making enough mechanical parts to run both of these factories. You know, to run this one full time and this one at least some of the time. I don't think I need 1 billion of these things, and I don't really want to do the math on like whether it's even possible to provide that much input. Oh wait, this one's running. Why did it run? And this one stopped. Is the drone deciding randomly? It seems to have a very clear pattern for a while. So this is why I got confused about having like multiples of these things. The good news is though, we can just tear this down and just build this whole thing again. Although actually what we need more than anything right now is depots, huh? So if I put a thing here that makes depots, like, am I gonna be sad for the same reason I was over here? It's making depots now. Okay. So I think, though, that, like, having just 5 extractors feeding 2 things is, like, probably not enough. I probably do actually want more than this many. So I want separate assembly plants for at least depots and extractors, which you generally need a lot of. Anyway, so what are we supposed to actually do? Build 5 factories. Sure, no problem. I was going to do that eventually. At the moment, I do own enough factories. I could just put 2 more down and that would complete the task. But I want to set up my production a little bit better. So, how are we on depots? There you go. We have 2 now. So we could build a separate depot construction facility. So let's do that. So there's a copy paste for things. And if I just take this, but I say, please build depots instead, we have this all set up and we're building depots and extractors now. As well as, which one is this making? Assembly plants. So we need something that makes factories. But we don't have enough depots for it right now. We do have just enough factories, so I could build everything but the depots, and put the depots in when I get them. And that's enough factories to make us finish our goal. So we've now, I guess there's 10 total things you eventually do. No, I'm at level 3 out of N. I don't know what N is. And I'm 3/10 of the way to finishing it. We're now supposed to build a supply center, so we're finally learning what cities are about. And we've learned about concrete, road, truck stops, trucks, and supply centers. So this is kind of how I think the rest of the objectives of the game are going to go, or at least for the next little while. They're not like just build some of a thing. They're, start supplying stuff to cities. That's a common objective that we are going to have. Yeah, I still don't have enough depots. Can I do it like this? I don't know. Looks kind of fancy. Building factories, right? So this needs to be a depot for steel bars. And I'm going to put another depot here. So rather than having a straight line out, I thought it would just be fun to have it double back. Why does it take so damn long to build a depot, man? I mean, it's 3 steel bars. I guess it's more just like we only get 12 per year, which is 12 per 5 minutes, which is about 2 per minute, so every 30 seconds we get a depot. Anyway, there you go. I could have, I guess, like, even built it. I don't know, it doesn't matter where I built it. So, now we've got at least every one of our basic industry items is being produced sort of indefinitely. The fact that the resource patches are going to eventually run out is a thing that I don't totally know what to do about, but for now we have lots. So, what's this deal with cities? We mentioned there are 3 cities on the map. The objective, in your biggest city, have a population of at least 10. So they all start with a population of 3, I believe. So here's New Shanghai. I can't read the text on this map, so I have to zoom in to see this stuff. This is New... what? Ahmedabad? Yeah, probably Ahmedabad. And this is New Ho Chi Minh City. So those are the 3 choices we have of which city to build out next. Based on what I know from the 2 hours I played earlier, it certainly will be useful. In fact, we can tell this now. So how do we make a city bigger? That's a question to ask. Let's look at Ho Chi Minh City. What does it want? Well, we don't know. But we do know that we have to build a supply center next to the city, and then the city will tell us what it is it wants. And we can always, so let's actually just go find that out instead of me telling you. What the heck is that? Oh, that's all my buildings! There's a weird blotch on the map. That's me! So we need to start working with concrete now in order to build a supply center. And you'll see that the roads and truck stops that we make also want a ton of concrete. So how do you make concrete? If we just... Where's all my stuff? If we click one of our assembly plants and say, actually, change recipes, we're not going to actually change it, but you can mouse over supply center and see that it wants concrete. Okay, fine. So if we look at one of our factories and say, if I wanted to make concrete, what do I need? Ah, sulfur. So a steel bar is 3 iron, and concrete is 3 sulfur, so they're very analogous. So let's go find a sulfur deposit. I choose this one. Actually, yeah, that's fine. And set up a mining operation here. I'm gonna again do what I claimed Factorio players would do and that you shouldn't do in this game necessarily, and build on the edge just because it's a convenient little place to do it. Give me a depot for sulfur, a factory for concrete, a depot for concrete, and an assembly plant for supply centers, please. And we're going to need to set up a way to build roads and stuff in as well. So let's just do that now. Honestly, you need a lot of roads, has been my experience in the still early part of the game. So I'm going to try to make a slightly bigger road production thing. So let's gather sulfur here, of course. Factory for concrete, of course. But then I'm going to put another depot for concrete here, or for sulfur here. Because this can consume, let's see, this can consume up to 90, oh, this isn't the right way to do it, is it? Right, this can kind of consume up to 90 sulfur a year. And it's already being fed 75 by just these, so it's sort of silly to build a whole other concrete input to it. What I should be doing is building a second factory, basically, let's say here, for concrete, and have them both output to the same depot. Depot here. There you go. So now I have 2 factories feeding this thing full of concrete. Let's make... We already have some supply centers. That's cool. But let's start making roads. Oops. Yeah, those just both take concrete. So assembly plant here for roads. And here, not for roads, but for road stops. And we're going to need trucks too, but that's a separate thing. Okay, so we've succeeded in building a few supply depots. Is that what they're called? Supply centers. Now let's go build one next to Ho Chi Minh City and see like what the deal is. So, this city still has a population of 3. So depending on their size, they require supply and waste disposal. I haven't gotten to the waste disposal part of the game yet, although I don't think it's very far away from that 2 hours of play I did. The supply center. So now we see that this place consumes yearly 10 times 1 concrete. So we need to supply it 10 concrete for it to start growing. And as it gets bigger, it's going to want more, but it doesn't seem to be linear, so I don't totally understand that. Oh my god, that shadow just pops in out of nowhere when the sun gets to a certain... Or when you get close enough to it, huh? Interesting. Based on all the tools we've used so far, it's not really clear how you would ever get concrete to a city, right? We only know how to do very localized operations, right? We built, like, right here. This is... Okay, these are both going good. So if we look... Yes, I have 14 roads and 3 stops. Perfect. I'd really like to prioritize roads, if there is any need to prioritize, but it looks like I've supplied enough concrete that both of these can run full-time. And maybe I'll need more truck stops than I realize in the future. So, we could say, let's experiment. Where is Ho Chi Minh City? Here it is. Obviously, I could put the supply center next to any of the cities, but it wants concrete. And when I look at the 3 cities, you know, the one that seems closest to a concrete deposit is Ho Chi Minh City. So, you know, they're going to want other stuff eventually. And this is the first time that it's, like, kind of committal where we build something, because we're building a big thing that's tied to a specific location, right? Whereas this was just a tiny little mining outpost that puts stuff directly in my inventory. So, I don't know. Maybe... Hey, knock it off. We'll keep moving. So, maybe there's some other city that's better positioned. Like, you know, this one is not super far from concrete, and it also... Oh, is that aluminum or fluorite? There's some fluorite. I found some. Okay, so I don't yet know what the heck fluorite is for. I have had some use for aluminum in my first playthrough. Here's more fluorite. Okay. So, like, maybe being next to fluorite is really important, and I should start building there. But I don't know. Maybe not. And I think this is fluorite too. So there's some within a reach of Ho Chi Minh City, and there's some iron, and I don't see any aluminum, huh? Are any of these next to, like, all 4 or nearish all 4 materials? Actually, New Shanghai is near fluorite and aluminum, and there's some concrete up here. And the iron is a bit of a drive, but I think we'll actually build near New Shanghai instead. Why not? So, I could demo the old supply center I have. In fact, I could turn off, probably, the thing that's building supply centers, because, as far as I know, there's only 3 cities in the game, right? And so, just like, can I tell you don't build anything, or build trucks? I don't know. That's something that they can't build with concrete, so this just won't do anything. This way, I'm not wasting the concrete deposits building something that doesn't matter. Probably that decision doesn't matter either, but as far as I know, I'm not going to need any more supply depots. Maybe I will, supply centers. But as far as I know, I don't. So, let's build near New Shanghai. It'll be a bit more trouble at the beginning of the game to get the concrete there than if I went somewhere else. Actually, it can build kind of one road that goes all the way out to all 3 of these things, so maybe that's even better than coming up here. I don't know. Anyway, supply center, please. Right here, if you would be so kind. So, it's sort of natural, since they gave you on this quest supply centers and also roads and stuff. I should have been building trucks all this time. In fact, before we connect all this stuff up, I'm just going to go build trucks. You need so many trucks. So we have some more iron mining here. Let's just set some up. Oops, don't want you there. And a factory for... They need mechanical parts, right? Yeah. Okay, and let's think about ratios a little bit. I would sort of like to do this in a slightly correct manner. Because you have to make steel bars into mechanical parts, as I recall, right? Yeah. So if we look at a truck, where are trucks? There they are. So if we look at this per year, it consumes 12 times 2 mechanical parts. Well, a mechanical part is just a steel bar. And if we look at mechanical parts, you know, we can make 30 of them in a year with one of these. So, you know, really, if we built, this consumes 24 a year, this can produce 30 a year. It's close, right? I mean, we could scale up by a factor of 5 or 6 to get perfectly balanced, but this is close enough. 1 to 1 is close. But how hard is it to make 12 steel bars in a year? Well, we can look at the factory for steel bars and see that it needs, sorry, I want to make 24 steel bars in a year. So this can make 30 steel bars in a year. Which is enough, but it requires 90 iron to do that. But 5/6 of that, which is what I'm actually building, or is it? Yeah. No. Math? I'm taking away a 1/6. Yeah, 5/6. How is 24 5 times anything? I guess because of the 30? Whatever. So to make 5/6 of that, we just need 5/6 of 90, which is actually 75, which is exactly what 5 extractors produce. So I believe just like lining up exactly one of everything is close enough to 1-to-1 balance that I'm not going to mess with it. Maybe making twice as many trucks would be nice, and I could replicate this twice, but I'm not going to. So let's make a depot for steel bars, and a factory for mechanical parts, and a depot for mechanical parts, and an assembly plant for trucks. Okay, great. So that's all going. And the number of trucks we're making per year is 12. That's not very many. I really would like to be making twice that many, I think. Well, I mean, that's easy enough to do, right? Let's just, let's just replicate that whole thing. There you go. Now we're making 24 trucks a year, which is a little bit better. And trucks, you'll notice, although they're made at an assembly plant, they don't exactly appear in our global inventory anywhere. They're not placed directly. They're placed attached to, like, trade routes, basically. To truck stops, I think. Or road stops or something. Where's my dang city? It's over here. This is the one I decided to build at. Okay. So, this supply center wants to be given concrete, so we're going to put a concrete depot next to it. Because I thought you'll just drive the trucks up here and they'll drop off the stuff. But only supply depots have drones, and only drones know how to actually move stuff. So, what we need to do next is build a road, truck stop thing. Road stop? Truck stop? I forget. Here. And let's also, you know what? Start up our concrete extraction facility. At least in the early game, it does not seem to be the case that you need a lot of concrete for cities. So we've built a little concrete extraction facility here. Let's build a truck stop. And I can say build a road But, like, I don't have enough roads. I haven't finished assembling enough roads. I'm, like, halfway there. So let's just speed up time a bit. And I think we need around 200 roads, yeah? I don't know. Around 200. So fortunately, we're accumulating trucks while all of this happens. And concrete, but I don't think that's a big deal. This is plenty to supply the city. And I think once we've delivered the concrete, that'll be the end of episode 1. We'll have made a progress into most everything that I learned from the 2 hours I first played the game. We'll have gotten through in this first half hour, or 45 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So this is what I knew would happen when I said, "Oh, we'll build it." New Ahmedabad instead of building at Ho Chi Minh City. It would have been a much shorter road from Ho Chi Minh City to concrete. But I'm speculating, you know, maybe we'll end up needing iron for the city as well at some point. So won't it be nice to have built... Why? Could you, like, just get near there, please? I'm speculating that we'll want both of these things and that it'll be worth the slight wait. Ah, I said build? Hello? Where are my roads? Oh, it did build, okay. Great, we did it. So we connected up. We now have a route from here to there, but we haven't designated it as a trade route. So I want to set your destination to here, please. Deliver concrete. And they're still not delivering concrete because we haven't put any trucks in. There's a truck. Do you default to one truck? Is that how this works? Interesting. So we can see that the trucks travel at a particular rate. Who knows what it is? Where did the truck go? I think they're always on the route, but like I lose them sometimes. They're pretty small and you can scroll. I don't know. I feel like sometimes they disappear. Maybe I'm imagining. Anyway, you can add more trucks and the capacity to deliver will go up. So right now, we have enough trucks here to supply up to 16 concrete a year. And this is making, you know, around 30 a year. So, and the city only wants, it's making, I think, 24 a year, right? Because we only have 5 extractors. The city only wants 10, so this is plenty. And I've actually built way more trucks than I needed. So I'm just going to get the capacity up to 24, which is how much this could possibly produce. If we end up needing more in the future, then fine, you know, I'll build more extractors. But for now, we have this long convoy of trucks, plus this one in front. Or this one in front? All headed up to deliver to the city, so we'll fast forward time until that starts happening. There he is. And delivering these resources is going to let the city start growing by meeting its consumption demands. So you saw the drone came out and picked it up, the truck turned around. Amazing, we did it. So this, you know, they only got 1 and they need like 10 per year. So I think that 1 is not really enough to satisfy them until the main convoy gets here. Well, unless like this first few I built will start actually making them happy. Or, oh, is this going to get there in time for the demand? Oh, it did. Look at that. They wanted some and they got it. Amazing. So the supply is no longer like completely starved. They're starting to have the concrete that they want. Oh, they consumed that instantly, even though it didn't get to here. I'm not sure what that's about. I guess they don't want it exactly 10 times, like 1/10 of the way through the year. Okay, maybe they do. I don't understand. It seemed like they ate that one a little bit before the bar filled up, and so I don't totally understand what the bar means, but... So now the trucks are really arriving, and there's just concrete for days. Or years, in fact. And you can see the drone there's not even enough room anymore in the supply center to store all this extra concrete, but that's what depots are for. So the drone's going to pile it up here. And since we're delivering more concrete than the city can consume, this depot will fill up before long and the trucks will start idling out front. But that's fine. That's what they're for. If we look at the city, you know, it's now saying, oh, we've got 100% of our demand. Supply is good. And the city has in fact grown to 4 people. Which is why they're now demanding 13 concrete per year, not just 10. I don't believe it will get above 24, but I could be wrong. Yeah, and so they're starting to build out more modules. How nice. There's like a little space thing. This is all just, as far as I know, these have no mechanical meaning except that they take up a space, and they're built when the city has more population. Population 7, it's growing quite nicely. We're on speed times 3, so pretty soon we should complete our quest of getting a population of 10. But, you know, notice it is demanding 24. So, great. Pause. So we got our second quest thing, and now we've learned about all this other stuff. Aluminum bar, carbon, oxygen, atmospheric extractors, and landmark towers. So this is... I've completed this quest in my off-camera trying it out, and then I didn't do the one after this. So there you go. That's Plan B Terraform. I'm having fun with it so far, you know. It's not anything super novel yet, and I don't know how the terraforming stuff is going to change things, but it's always fun to do like logistics and learn the mechanics and the kind of twist that a new factory/logistics game has put on things. And I'm enjoying it so far, so we'll do at least one or two more episodes. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.